Welcome to Zoom In, Zoom Out, where we take an in-depth look at how news from Taiwan is impacting the world. I'm Sally Jensen. It's been 1 month since the new Paraguayan president, Santiago Peña, was inaugurated, and Taiwan's Vice President Lai Ching-te was at the ceremony. And that's because Paraguay is Taiwan's last remaining diplomatic ally in South America. The two countries have held ties for 66 years, and Peña has indicated he has no intention of switching ties to China, which claims Taiwan as its own territory. The strength of Taiwan and Paraguay's long-standing relationship is demonstrated through exchanges in many areas: healthcare, technology, business, and education. We're going to be taking a closer look at this relationship, and to help us, I'm joined by Pablo Orué Ucedo. He's the president of the Paraguayan Students Association of Taiwan and an international relations PhD student at the National ChengChi University. Welcome to the show, Pablo.
Thank you for having me, Sally.
So to get started, one element, as I've mentioned, of the Paraguay-Taiwan relationship is education, and part of this is academic scholarships. Could you tell us what these academic scholarships are, and did you come to Taiwan on such a scholarship?
Yes, well, Paraguay and Taiwan, as you mentioned, they established relations a long time ago in 1957. And since in the year 1991, the government in Taiwan started offering scholarships to Paraguayan students. So far, there has been a little over 700 scholarships offered to Paraguayan students that want to pursue undergraduate, graduate Chinese language programs, and also the master's degree program for police science.
And as you mentioned, a lot of Paraguayan students have come to Taiwan on scholarships. Could you tell us a little bit about what their experiences are like here? Do they enjoy their time in Taiwan, or do they find it challenging?
Most Paraguayan students find this experience extremely transformative, and it's very enriching. And I think that most of us have a fantastic time here in Taiwan, both academically and culturally speaking. But we have to mention that it is a challenge to come to the other side of the world and study in a different environment and live in a different environment, such as Taiwan. But I would say that overall, that most Paraguayan students have a positive experience by coming here to Taiwan. We are very grateful for this opportunity that we have through our diplomatic ally.
And so with that in mind, what usually happens after these students graduate? Do many of them stay in Taiwan, or do they go elsewhere? Do they go back to Paraguay?
I would say that most students go back to Paraguay, but increasingly there has been a number of students that are staying a little bit longer in Taiwan. There are several cases where students are offered by their universities the opportunity to stay for an extra 2 years or 4 years to pursue a master's degree or a PhD program after their graduation in their undergraduate program. And also, many of them experience the opportunity to find jobs in different areas that they are studying, and they like the challenge of experiencing the working culture in Taiwan and living here, not only as a student, but as someone who is trying to contribute to society also, and also learning valuable work experience that will help them further in their life.
You say the students really enjoy their time here, but what's the purpose of this exchange and these scholarships, both for Paraguay and for Taiwan?
Well, as most scholarship programs, I think that they serve a broader purpose. The main focus is on education, of course, but there is something much larger behind this kind of exchange programs between two countries. I believe that Taiwan is looking forward to this exchange and gaining goodwill and getting understanding among our nations. And I think that this is also something that Paraguay is looking forward to. At the same time, Paraguay is in need of the increase in their workforce that is trained in specialized skills, which Taiwan can offer through their universities, especially in the areas of science and technology. I think that Taiwan has been helping Paraguayans to be more prepared and have the experience to be trained in key areas that are necessary for the industrial development of our country. And also, I believe that Taiwan is benefiting from bringing us here and providing a different insight from another part of the world, and also to foster international cooperation.
So, Pablo, I want to zoom out a bit and understand a little bit more about what it could mean if Paraguay broke its diplomatic relations with Taiwan. Earlier, I spoke to Julieta Heduvan, a Paraguay foreign policy analyst at the University of Salamanca. So, do you think Paraguay would benefit from switching its diplomatic ties from Taiwan to China?
The most obvious issue in which Paraguay can benefit from the change of recognition to China is at the commercial level. The potential Chinese market is huge and is not comparable with what Taiwan can give. And the same happens with trade and large infrastructure projects.
So, why does Paraguay maintain its relationship with Taiwan?
The ones that defend the relation with Taiwan fear that the relationship with China will be too unequal. The concerns of Paraguay and their people won't be heard. And in this sense, Taiwan plays a very good role diplomatically, being part of a really limited list of countries that recognize Taiwan gives Paraguay a status different from the rest and gives visibility to a country that is usually invisible in the international scene.
So, Pablo, we just saw Julieta explain the diplomatic dynamics between Taiwan and Paraguay. And in spite of all of the media attention, arguably the people who could possibly most be impacted by a break in diplomatic relations would be the Paraguayan students in Taiwan. And with precedents from Honduras earlier this year and Nicaragua in 2021, this possibility is real. And are you worried about this? And do you have any plans if it were to happen?
Yes, I am personally worried about this, and I would say that every Paraguayan student living in Taiwan currently considers this factor as a possibility that would impact their life. And I think that most of us worry a lot, especially every electoral period, where these kind of issues are raised to public concern. And I believe that most of us are more worried about this issue than other issues that are usually the focus of the tensions here in this region. We don't know what would happen in that situation if we are going to be offered the opportunity to continue our studies in mainland China, or what could happen with us. So I think that most of us would like to have the chance to finish our program here and to achieve our goals.
And perhaps we can look at the context of Latin America at the moment, and it's going through what's often known as a pink tide, with people in various countries electing more left-leaning governments. And as a result, some countries are becoming more China-friendly than US-friendly. But according to recent analysis from The Economist, Paraguay is not really following this trend. Do you think that this is why Paraguay is keeping its ties with Taiwan?
I believe that Paraguay's strategic interest may differ from other countries in Latin America. Paraguay has consistently aligned its foreign policy to democratic values and democratic principles, which also are the same that Taiwan uphold. And Paraguay, the cohesiveness of the Paraguayan elites, for good or for bad, for our country, put them in a place where they would benefit regardless of whether we keep relations with Taiwan or mainland China. But keeping relations with Taiwan brings added value to the table. That is similar to what Julieta mentioned, that Paraguay is a privileged member of a selected group of countries that have diplomatic ties with Taiwan. And we get, as a nation, some sort of prestige from honoring this friendship. And I think that many authors and analysts may argue that based on rational choice theory and principles, that Paraguay will eventually switch sides. But I think that these analysts ignore the fact that the alignment on political values and the prestige that they get from their policies can influence the way diplomatic decisions are made.
You mentioned the kind of the relationship benefiting many political elites in both Paraguay and Taiwan. Do you think there is any kind of political commonality or common ground between Paraguay and Taiwan's other allies?
There are some commonalities. I mean, we are small societies that are slowly finding our path to development, and which we are still trying to improve our institutions and our democratic regimes. I think that in this case, the elites and the people in government in Paraguay and in other countries that are Taiwan's allies, they also want to try to take advantage of this relation the best way they can, and being this through keeping funding or technical assistance or scholarship and this kind of exchanges for the population and for workers of the public sector, for example, that they have access to training and scholarships and many other things that Taiwan offer as a country to country or government to government assistance.
So given the US and China's current geopolitical tug of war in Latin America, do you think that Paraguay is winning by having its relationship with Taiwan?
Well, personally, I say that we are winning by keeping ties with Taiwan. But it would sound a little biased, of course. But I think that we have to consider other factors and not only focusing on economic possibilities, because we have a fact today that we already have trade with China. Paraguayan products already have access to the Chinese market, and we are getting an increase in the access of Paraguay's products to the Taiwanese market, and the exchange and the cooperation between Paraguay and Taiwan has been consistently increasing. And I think that it is important to consider that and not just throw it all away for promises that we are not sure if they will be beneficial or not. So there is a great opportunity, but also great risk in switching sides from Paraguay to Taiwan.
For the moment, the new president of Paraguay says that he's sticking with Taiwan. But what do you think the future will hold for this relationship?
Well, I hope that the government of Paraguay tries to increase the amount of exchange between Paraguay and Taiwan, and also that we somehow have the chance to get Taiwanese professionals and teachers going to Paraguay to also try to teach their culture and their language, and try to build the connection between both of our nations. For example, through these programs that we have between the National Taiwan University of Science and Technology and the Taiwan Paraguay Polytechnic University, there are like plans to increase the number of engineers specialized in technology and the industrial sector, and that would help the development of Paraguay.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, Pablo. We really appreciate your insight.
Thank you for having me. It's good to see you and to share a little bit with you and with your audience.
This has been Zoom In, Zoom Out. You can find more from TaiwanPlus by following us on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time.